We don't give fertilizer to fishes to eat. No, fishes don't eat fertilizer to grow. A lot of people do bombard me with this particular question.
Hey there, welcome to Generational Thinkers Farms. My name is Awumi Piki Pintena. Manwala Medoways on Namiva Generational Thinkers Farms. Nikegba le Mr. John Gadausubo be Nyafiale ke wanten awo ndudu anela ike maga hiambe wava pili stomach kokoko ike wo dadi hokoa akone enlawo yinto ha antenwa we la feme eyata miva egbado ta mi ademo na mi be na rem opeto pele openu ngochi onami ne na no ngolom dadi class sube wo ha neje akpanyi ni gomekwa antenwa ozododo ya kata ike mifia antenwa zoji akpenami.
Mostly you understand that a lot of people find it difficult to feed the catfishes when it gets to certain stages, because from the initial stage they don't eat so much, but as they grow, the volume of food that goes into the pond weighs a lot of customers down. So because of that, as Generational Thinkers Farms, we try to help our customers to be able to produce their own locally manufactured foods, so that at the end it can help them to be able to feed their own fishes to harvest, and without spending so much money in buying the formulated feed. These are the tools that you need to do the formulated feed. You need a grinding mill, you need a mixing bowl, pelletizer machine, floating feed machine. So these are the things, the tools that you need to be able to produce the formulated feed that we normally give to our fishes. And what are the materials or the ingredients that you may need? One, you need soya beans, you need fish meal, beans, normal beans, you need rice bran or wheat bran, and then you also need maize. These are some of the ingredients that depending on the area where you find yourself, these are some of the ingredients that you may need. Actually, we are talking about how to produce the formulated feed. Now, after you get your tools and your materials or your ingredients ready, how do you do it now? For the maize, you are going to grind the maize. That's number one. You grind the maize. You soak the soya beans for 3 days. After the third day, you remove it from the water and then you grind it. After you grind the soya beans, squeeze the water out of it. The remaining chaff, that's what you are going to use for the production. Remember, you are not using the soya beans water. Now you are going to mix all these things together. Then you go and grind them. After it flows through the floating feed machine and then the pelletizer, then it becomes the pelleted feed that we normally give to our fishes. So this is a brief process for the formulated feed. So I'll pause here. If you have any question, you ask first before we move on to the second one.
A rice bran, the soya beans, and the rest. In what proportion?
Good. That is the formula I made mention earlier. Every company has their own formula. Now, the proportion that you are going to mix will now depend on what protein content you want to derive or you want to get. Because when the fishes are young, we use a higher protein content. For instance, starter feed, sometimes we use about 60% protein. When they are growing, we reduce it to, let's say, 40, and then let's say to 30. So the last protein content we use is somewhere 28 or 30, depending on the company. So every company has their formula, which is their secret. So whatever formula you want to use, or whatever protein content you want to use, that is where you are going to derive your formula to get that particular protein percentage or protein content for your fishes. For instance, in a raw term, if I want a higher protein content for my fishes, one, I'm going to use more of soya beans more than the wheat brand. I'm going to use more of fish meal. I'm going to use more of beans itself. So you see, those ones has higher protein content. But if the fishes are growing, they may not need so much protein. So I have to reduce the protein content. So instead of using so much of soya beans, I may use a lot of rice bran. I may use a lot of wheat bran, dried cassava. So that's where you now find out what formula you want to use to get what protein content. If we are clear with that, then we move on to our next local food, joko, and that joko has to do with maize powder. So with the maize powder, you are going to boil water. You cook it like a porridge first. You add the flour to it. Then you keep adding until it becomes hard, but not too hard, like a wokpele. Those who know how to prepare a wokpele will properly understand the process. The process. So you can do it like that. The other way you can add a flavor to it is, one, you can add a little salt to the water, the boiling water in the pot. You can also add palm kernel oil. And if we need gomedia, that's the chaff. Yeah, the chaff. Yeah. Good. That's palm kernel oil, because it has some particular smell. Yes. Aroma. So it attracts fishes a lot. You can put a little bit of that with the salt in the boiling water before you cook the ewokpele. You allow it to cool. Then after it cools, how do you now give it to the fishes? You can get a basket like this, or like this, or in any form. It could be wider, it could be, but it shouldn't be taller than the level of your pond water. Then you are going to get a long rope. So you tie one here and one here. Then you have the rope hanging. So you can descend this basket into the pond. You can put it in the four corners of your pond, but before then, because sometimes when there's no food in it, sometimes it can float. So it's good sometimes you put a stone in it so it can settle at the down. Then with the rope, you hang it. You can hang the rope at the corners of, or you depending on the nature of pond you have. With this, you can hang the rope on that galvanized pipe. Good. Then you put the food that you have prepared, you put it in it. Why are we doing it that way? Because we don't want your water to get dirty easily. So when you do it like that, the fishes themselves, they come into the basket and they feed. Later, if you come, you only lift the rope. After you lift the rope, you look at it. If there's any leftover, you think they don't want it, you can throw it away, and then you refill. That's the best way you can do it. You don't just spread the food inside the pond, because this one is not a floating feed. And because it's not a floating feed, it can soil the water. It can make the water dirty. And sometimes, whether they eat it or not, you're supposed to know. And that's one of the reasons why we are putting it in the basket, so that if they don't eat it, you know that they didn't eat this particular food. So the next time you know how to do it or how to adjust. But if you just throw it in the pond, they are not eating, and the whole pond will become very dirty and messed up. And even that can even introduce infection into your pond, and then it will end up killing your fishes. And that's why we advise that you put it in a basket, and then you drop the basket in the pond, so they will come by themselves and eat. So one advantage of doing it this way is that at any time the fishes have some food to come and eat. So if you come and feed them, those that didn't get food enough or they are not satisfied, they can trace the basket of food, go there and eat. And sometimes too, it will reduce the pressure on you, the farmer, because one, they before you come to feed them, those that are hungry, they come here, they are already satisfied, so they don't need so much of the formulated food to satisfy themselves again. So maybe a hand or two hands full, they are okay, then you keep going. So this one way you can do it.
With the basket, do
Yes.
you always do that like this, like a perforated one? Or
A basket is a basket, so a basket must be perforated
I'm asking
for a reason.
for a reason.
Always
Always
Every basket will have what? Yes, will have a hole. If it doesn't have a hole, it's not a basket. Then it's a bucket.
And then now that it's a basket,
Yes,
and we are talking of you not soiling the thing.
yes.
The moment they start eating in it, pieces will go around.
If when pieces go round, it's better than the whole food being messed up in the pond, and they don't eat it. You don't know. They even pick it up from the pond. Even with those pieces, when you flash the water, it will go. It will go. But if a junk food like this is left in the pond, it won't go. It will spoil the water. Now, we will base other teachings on that same basket formula. So with the same basket formula, you can put cassava. So the cassava method, this is how you are going to do it. You can peel cassava, then you divide it into pieces. After you divide the cassava into pieces, you can either soak it with salt in a container for about 2 days or 3 days till it gets soft. Then you put the same cassava in your basket, then you drop it in the pond. With that too, they will also eat very well. Not only cassava, that same has to do with your leftover food. So assuming you cook a nice food, banku, or you cook a nice rice, or you cook some nice meal that you have a leftover, instead of throwing it away, you can put it under a running water to flush the oil and all the other dirt that may be on it. You flush it, then you put the solid food itself in the basket, then you put it in the pond. So it's just as if what you are eating, you are giving it to your own fishes and they are equally eating it. And I believe that will help you so much to reduce cost. If you have, let's say you cook yam, or you have plantain, you have anything that you have that is edible to men, that is edible to human beings, you can equally give it to the catfish and they will eat. There's something we call pino. Nigerians understand this better. Eba. If you have gari, you can equally use that same method. You boil water, hot water, and then you add some salt. You pour the gari in it, then it becomes eba. So the eba or the pinot, you are going to give it to the fishes in the same order, so that anytime they are hungry, they go there, they feed on it. Whatever they didn't feed on, they are not interested in that. You don't give it to them again. And even with that, anytime you flush your water out, the food remains in the basket while the water goes. If you have any more questions, you can ask so that we go.
I think the washing is very essential
Yes.
to remove all the unwanted elements before they are introduced.
I have some question here. Number one, as you do this, be careful of your water so you don't spoil the water. That's number one. Two, you have to constantly clean the basket so that you don't introduce infection into the basket. So you have to constantly clean the basket. Just like the way you eat in the house, you wash your bowl, you clean the basket constantly. and then you also have to constantly change the water. Once you do that, you are good to go. Yeah. So we come to local food number 3. We call it artisan. This artisan is just simple. There are a lot of trees that has scale, so you can cut some of those trees, and then after you cut it into pieces, you can leave it for about 2 weeks. Then depending on your pond, you can arrange those pieces of trees that you cut, you can arrange them in the pond. It will be there for some time. Then the scale of the stick will begin to be, it will become soft with time, so they will be eating it. You can use mango tree, people use neem tree, you can use any other tree that is not poisonous. But mind you, you need to be very careful in doing this, because when your water is constant and stagnant, and then you put too much of this in it, it can contaminate the water. So you need to be very careful in doing this. So anytime you are doing this, make sure you constantly run your water, or you constantly change your water, so that it will help you. After they are done eating the scales on it, you have to remove the scale, the tree itself. You remove them, you pack them out. People do these things on the wild, yes, on the wild, to just harvest a lot of fishes. Eating pond, people do it. Rivers, big rivers, people do this, and their purpose is only to harvest fishes from the wild. So if people can do this, and just fishes will go and be eating the scales of the pieces of the trees, and then they'll cover them with net and harvest them. Why don't we introduce the same method to our pond, or yes, our system, so that they can equally be of nutrition to our fishes? I hope we can equally do that. Some of these things, it's not only just food that gives them good medicinal purposes, so it makes your fishes live in good health as well. Naturally, these birds and other animals, they eat some of these things a lot, because they know the medicinal value of it. Maggots. With this, I may teach it only on a request, so I'll jump over that. If you basically need it, we can teach you this to produce it yourself to be able to feed your animals. It's not only fishes that eat this one, even birds, fowls, they eat it. But aside that, a little tip I can give you regarding this is that you can equally raise a lamp on top of your pond. So you can have a light here, a bulb here. So in the evening, normally when it rains, you see a lot of those old termites with wings. They fly to the light because they are looking for heat. And once they fly to the light, they begin to fall in the water. So once they are falling in the water, your catfish, they are eating them. When you come here in the evening, you see a lot of jubilation going on here. So with that one, I can only teach that one based on special requests. If you have eating pond, what I'm going to teach now only fits you. One, after you dig the pond newly, you can use fertilizer. We fertilize the pond also. So you can use NPK 1515. You spread it on the bare ground of the pond, or you use organic manure. You spread them on the bare floor of the pond. Sometimes a lot of people do ask me, they say there's this liquid fertilizer, and people say you should give them to your fishes, they'll grow fast, they'll do well, they'll not. Hey, no. A lot of people do bombard me with this particular question, but this is the way we use some of those things. We don't give fertilizer to fishes to eat. No, fishes don't eat fertilizer to grow, but you fertilize the pond itself on the bare ground. It's not for hybrid ponds, it's not for concrete tanks, it's not for tarpaulin ponds. No, it's only strictly for earthen ponds. So with this, you spread it on the earthen pond, and then you fill in with water. You leave it for about 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, then you discharge the water, and then you refill in new water. You wait for about 3 days, then you introduce the fishes. What is the benefit? The benefit is that the ground generates food by itself for fishes. Where there's manure, those earthen worms, certain grass they will all germinate, and they will all try to come up from the side of the ponds and within the water and all that. So all those things, the fishes do eat them. So it doesn't put so much pressure on you, the farmer, to be feeding them constantly with the formulated feed. So when you do that, the ground germinates all those things. It produces all those things. It becomes a fertile ground. So the fishes themselves, they'll be picking all those things from the ground. It is not a fertilizer that the fishes eat. It is not the animals dropping that the fishes eat. No, they eat what the result or the outcome of those things, the fertilization. So you are only fertilizing the ground. So let this be clear to all of us. And mind you, I said that it is only for earthen ponds. Our last feed for the day. Can you imagine? God creates fishes in the world, and sometimes nobody feeds them in the river, nobody feeds them on the sea. But how do they grow? How do they survive? There's a river beside my pond. Sometimes when I see fishes in some of those rivers, sometimes I study them. They will be there for some time. I study them, and some of them within 3 months they are bigger than fishes that we are feeding here for 6 months. Sometimes you'll be surprised. How do they grow? How do they survive? Because they eat small here, they eat small here, they eat small grass here, they eat small this here, and they do all those things while they are traveling. And they grow very fast, and they are healthy. But the ones that we stock, you suffer, you sweat. And sometimes if you are not careful, all your money, your investment will go into the feed. And if you are not careful, you don't make so much. But God feed these fishes in the world, and they do well. So we also want to resort to God's method of feeding now. So here we are, God's method of feeding. That's our last topic for the day. We have a lot of grasses. I made mention of some leaves already. The moringa leaves. There is another one called boko boko. Is it Nigerian people who call it boko boko? We call it gbedupo or yevugboma. The fishes equally eat some of these leaves. They eat them a lot. And also we have duckweed. Duckweed contains about 40% protein content. We have azolla. We have a lot of different kinds of water lilies. We also have water lettuce and a whole lot. All of them, the fishes eat them. If you come to my place, sometimes I just pick the leaves from other ponds, and then I drop it in there for them, and you see them rushing and eating it and all that. They also eat potato leaves. They eat cassava leaves. Some of these ones you need to train them with it. You don't just stand up one day and then you collect cassava leaves and then you throw it to them for them to. No, they are not goats. Though they eat it, but they eat it step by step. You introduce it step by step. I advise that you can grow some of these things around the pond, especially the potato leaves. You just grow it around, so the leaf stretches into the pond, then they will come and be eating it. This is so beautiful. At the end, it's giving them health, a good health, that you yourself, you eat a healthy fish, not a sick fish. a fish that is well raised naturally. Some of these grasses grow only on top of water. So what do? You can have an extra pond purposely for some of these weeds. If you try to grow them on the surface of your fish pond where there are fishes, what happens is that the fishes will be eating them, so they won't, you won't see the, yes, they will finish everything on top of the water. You can equally put a basket on top of the water, then you grow it in it. The grasses will grow, but the fishes will not be able to enter into the basket and eat the grass. But with the level of the basket, it means that you are preserving only the seed. You cannot expand to give them to satiation. So all these things can serve as a supplementary feed for your fishes. It liberates you from spending so much on feed. So you don't spend too much, but little from here, little from here, little from here, all of them coming together helps you to be able to grow your fishes so well, and they'll grow naturally, they'll grow healthy. Within 3 months you come and then you see your fishes and you'll be like, wow, this fish that you are seeing here, this is just 3 months old, but look at the way they are doing so well. So we recommend that you can equally help yourself to liberate yourself from so much spending on formulated feed. If you have any question, you can ask.
Yes. You have artificial vitamins that.
Yes, we have vitamins, we have multivitamins. But the first question, or the question I have to throw back, is what do you want the vitamin for? Because the vitamin, they make the fishes grow hungrier. It boosts them to grow more, and they eat more as well. So if your fishes are not eating so well, we have multivitamins that you give them so that they can eat very well. But the multivitamin in itself doesn't make them grow. It is food that makes them grow. So there are other fish booster and all that, but you give them, it makes them become more hungry to eat. But if you are introducing that, you must also be mindful of your water, because when you introduce that, maybe with your fish like this, today they are eating one bag in 2 days, right? If they are using 2 days to eat a bag of feed, it means that they are going to use one day, just 1 day to take one bag, and which will also mean that you need to be changing your water constantly.
And then your expenditure will be going up.
Yes, if people eat large, they fall sick easily. If you're eating too much, you easily fall sick, because your system needs to digest the food well. Your system needs to develop well, stage by stage. But if every time you're overeating, it puts so much pressure on your organs, and all those things can affect your health. So it's the same thing that happens to the fishes. If you are overfeeding them, you are putting pressure on their organs, and at the end you are even polluting the water, so they will die. And if there's a little infection that comes into the pond, you cannot easily control it. So these are some of the things you need to be mindful of if you want to take that method.
Also, soon we've come to the end of the teaching with Mr. John Gadawusu, the former regional director of GBC, where we taught him how to supplement his feeding with his own locally manufactured feed, things that he eats at home, things that he can easily get to feed or to supplement the feed we buy from the store. You can also make your own feed at home, not necessarily depending on solely the formulated feed. So call Generational Thinkers Farms on +233 54 3484 762, and we will attend to you. At Generational Thinkers Farms, we give you nothing but the best, and we give you simply the best. So contact us. We await your call.